You went first.
I think we need to give Mark just a second to get us going.
Is this a public meeting?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And so that means we have a live mic.
Yes, we are live now. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
All right, policy meeting?
All right. Which one do we want to start first on? Board
I don't have a preference, do you?
I have least to say on staff conflicts. So we're going to GBCA.
BCAR, yes, sir. So, these are the MSBA, recommendations to update the policies. So, in both, you can see that they've done some language cleanup as well as a significant amount of language additions in some of them. So, this, GBCAR is really more just cleaning up language, making it more concise, but they also added all of the information there about the property and the independent contractor services. The prohibitions are, for the most part, the same, just phrased slightly differently. And then the use of confidential information is added to the employee, the staff one. That was always part of the board one, but it was not part of the staff one. So that's added there as well.
On GBCA, right, on page 2.
Yes.
Special monetary benefit. That's unbelievably poorly written. I couldn't figure out what was going on.
Yeah.
Everyone else has a sentence, you know, all the other ones underneath it are a sentence.
Yeah, we can keep to what we had before.
Can we make it a sentence?
Yeah.
I tried to diagram that. I never could figure out what was going on.
I was never good at diagramming sentences, so.
I had a 5th grade nun that forced you. And,
Told me about her.
Can we make a sentence out of that? I mean, the other one says no employee, nothing, any trust. All the other ones are sentences. This is a series of clauses. It didn't make a lot of sense.
I think what we had previously sums it up as well.
So did I.
So, you know, that receiving monetary or other tangible benefit that is substantially different than the benefit to the general public or to members of the class of persons is the issue.
I agree with it. Can we say then, no employment of the district shall receive? Just so that we're consistent throughout. Then I have.
And then stick with what we had before.
Please.
Okay.
Then I had another question, just on page 5, number 9. And I was just curious.
Let me get there. I was going to change my last note.
Page 5 of 6, number 9.
Okay.
Does this include things like Christmas presents?
No, that's right. I thought the same thing. But if you get to the end of the sentence, it says that is attempting to do business with the district.
Personal property, free meals, tickets to events, travel expenditures.
So someone that's attempting to have a partnership, business
Okay,
partnership.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but
So
if that's
clean it up.
true, shouldn't we get rid of the R and make that an and? Because I think if it's an R, it could be either one of those.
Sure.
If you say and, I can understand that.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything else on that one?
I'm not sure how many district employees will read all these things in detail, but if they do, is it worthwhile to just have a discussion about what is permitted?
That, or do we just make it more clear that that gifts cannot be accepted in exchange for the opportunity for a business partnership?
I had, any other questions on that? I have some other questions on the next reg.
Just a general question, since my first policy meeting. Why are we revising this policy?
These are recommendations from the Missouri School Board Association to update policy. So
Okay.
they provide us updates each year annually, sometimes all at once, and sometimes sporadically, on what they recommend that we do. We don't necessarily have to do those, but typically it is with any changes or those types of things. And so
And
there's
the language is coming from them.
language is coming from them. And so we don't have to accept it. So like in the case on page 2, we're going to kick out some of their language, but change some of our previous language, and then we're going to adjust. So what I will do now is I will go back, and then for the next policy committee, I will bring these with the changes that we talked about. So that brings us to close on that one, and then on to BBFAR. So we made some changes at the very beginning of the school year, back in July, I believe, to BBFAR based on requests from the board, but now we have recommendations from MSBA as well. I'm right there.
I had a question. On, that was this one. If we would go to 3 of 7, under employment, I'm not disagreeing with anything on that, but could we also reference that to the board policy itself? So that it's easier to find that way?
Yes.
That way, if the board just wants to read, if the board
Yep.
just reads the board stuff, it would be good. That would,
Yes.
we had a,
Yes.
Sure would.
We know which policy we need to cross-reference there.
on page 4 of 7, number 2,
Yes.
I was wondering if we could get rid of specifically and put solely. Now, let me explain why I'm saying that. Otherwise, I was wondering, could board members vote on teachers' salaries if they had a child or a spouse employed by the district?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're saying specifically designed. Well, it is specifically designed to give them a raise.
Right.
It's not
solely designed.
So I thought that might make it,
I like that clarification.
thought that was comfortable. I have a question under gifts and gratuities. It says gifts and gratuities are not limited to money, personal property, tickets to events, travel expenditures, and games of golf, okay? Now, my question is what happens when Brian Cave ends up buying tickets to the Special Education Foundation and lets us, and then donates them? Is that, or can we accept those with this policy or not accept those?
This in excess of the amount established by the board. So,
But we have no amount established. That was
Right.
the other thing I was gonna say.
so
There's-
we probably need to get some clarification. Do we want to set an amount, or do we not want to include this at all?
Is the person you just referenced a vendor or a vendor's requisition, a representative or somebody who's intended to do business with the?
Brian Cave's been our attorney.
He's the attorney, okay, you're right.
Yeah. And their law firm does, and it seems funny, but every year their contract is up. The next year, we seem to get tickets. I find that amazing. And, because we get tickets to the ball games that year. We don't get them any other year, but if you ever notice when the contract comes up, we all get tickets to the ball games. And they have us in their private box. But they also, each year, they do buy,
They do.
they do contribute and buy tickets for,
So, but they give the money to the Special Education Foundation, and then they just ask you to be on their golf team.
okay, so is that considered tickets to events or games of golf?
It's very specifically a game of golf, isn't it?
Yeah. And I'm trying to figure out, if that's true, we can't do that. If it's not true, if we want to change it,
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely wordsmith this, or we can definitely look and say that we haven't had any issues, ethical, moral, or business issues based on our current policy that doesn't include this language. So even though the MSBA has recommended it, it doesn't necessarily mean that as a district and as a board, this is language that fits our needs.
So, this is all, what's happening? We're getting all the tickets to
What-
baseball games and.
yeah, well, we've gotten those every time the contract comes up, I'm not saying that's why they give it, but certainly.
But we should, probably shouldn't accept those things.
Well, what they do is they invite members of SSD, including the board, and they have a private box and we go there. Okay.
They do it more as a meet and greet, get to know the attorneys that represent you, those types of things, a lot of times.
Also, this is the one that I would, when we go to MSBA, what happens in MSBA, one of the local attorneys or one of the people that do our bonds.
Yes, what's that name?
People.
People,
People.
yeah.
What they do is they end up paying for the dinners, and then they take out not just our board, but tons of boards.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, are we allowed to do that if we get this in our policy?
Yeah.
And as MSBA is saying that we should have it in our policy, why are they allowing everybody else to do it?
Right.
So what's the excess amount that's established by the board?
We haven't, so if we accept this, we're gonna have to set that, or we're gonna have to say that we're not gonna include this section.
I mean,
We might have to have the meeting here instead of at home.
Right.
right. Or we may be the only people at MSBA that don't have our meal paid for.
Right.
Well, I mean, because,
I think you're being realistic, yeah.
no, I'm not trying to be goofy on that.
Yeah, no.
When I read this, I was thinking, we violate this every year.
Yeah, I mean, where I came from, it was absolutely, you didn't do that. You didn't go out to dinners, you didn't do any of that, because it could be misconstrued as if you're, giving contracts or voting on contracts based on their, benefits that they're giving you.
We did this also for the individuals that provide our meals for our children. What they have provided numerous times, when we went down to MSBA, picked up the tab. And they would, so I'm thinking we need to look at this one. And I would be curious to see what other districts have done
I just
specifically.
made that note to pull some other policies.
I don't want to be the lone people here that say we are holier than thou. I'd like to see what other people are doing on this. At least that's my feeling on that.
Yeah, I just think it keeps it cleaner.
Yeah.
Keeps the board separate from what the day-to-day business operations are. So, when in doubt, I always say don't do something if you don't feel comfortable with it.
And I only have one other thing on this policy.
Okay.
Page 5 of 7.
Mhm.
Even when there is no financial gain involved, failure to keep information confidential violates board ethics and board policy, could also violate state and federal laws. Can we reference that?
The state and federal law? Yes.
And can we reference that to our other board policy?
Mhm.
Just so that
Yep.
we know that. I mean, we have one on confidentiality.
Yep.
I think we should reference that there.
Yep.
But I don't have anything else on that.
Okay. Okay, so now that we've had a conversation, we'll just want to draft.
No, the big one that I had on this was,
I know.
what do we do with Brian Cave? What do we do with Sedesco? I mean, I don't want to be the only ones that do it like this. So I'd like to know what other people have done.
So do we want to adjourn so we can turn the live mic off?
Any more
Or
questions?
any more questions?
No, I would say that specific paragraph seems very standard.
Yeah.
It just seemed like, it's obvious, so it's.
Thank you.